Well, a good evening to all pro wrestling fans of all shapes and sizes from all around the world. Welcome to another live pro wrestling talk brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming. I'm your host, Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram. It is Sunday evening, December 7th of 2025. Hope everybody's December is starting off well. Hope everybody's staying warm, doing good. Hope everybody had an awesome weekend. Had a pretty solid weekend. Got a chance to go to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Ashe Wrestling 2-year anniversary. Was there for that. Brought my dad with me. It was a lot of fun. Good show. Definitely, if you're ever in the area, definitely check out Ashe Wrestling. Really good promotion, started by Darius Lockhart. Current commissioner is Caprice Coleman. But yeah, really solid indie promotion. They just hit their 2-year anniversary and still going strong. And yeah, definitely check them out. And I know this upcoming Friday will be the final Deadlock Pro Wrestling show, or at least in the U.S. They're going to do one more next year in Japan, but then they go on indefinite hiatus. So that'll be this coming Friday. Definitely looking forward to that. Not much information about the card for that. So considering it's Sunday, they're probably going to start advertising a card maybe tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see. But definitely looking forward to DPW going out with a bang in a big way. So, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, so for tonight, got some reviews and got some pro wrestling tournament talk for this episode. So first we're going to get the reviews out of the way. We're going to review both ROH Final Battle and NXT Deadline 2025. Of course, Final Battle happened Friday night. NXT Deadline happened Saturday night. So I'm going to review both of those shows. And then we're going to switch over to some pro wrestling tournament talk, as I will go over the current standings of the AEW Continental Classic 2025 and the New Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag League 2025, which has come down to the wire. They got 2 days left, so when we get to that point, I'm going to go over some scenarios. So, this close to wrapping up another pro wrestling tournament, and it's looking pretty close, so should be good. But anyway, let's get into some ROH. So, final show of the year for final pay-per-view PLE style show for Ring of Honor Wrestling, ROH Final Battle 2025, which took place on December 5th, which was this past Friday. It took place as part of GalaxyCon Columbus at the Greater Columbus Convention Center in Columbus, Ohio. Like I said, I'm familiar with GalaxyCon. They also do a GalaxyCon in Raleigh, North Carolina as well. I've been to that a couple of times. But yeah, this was part of GalaxyCon in Columbus. So I thought that was pretty cool. Thought that was really cool. But they had a pre-show with a couple of matches and then the main card. So overall, this was a pretty stacked show. But let me go ahead and let me get my graphics ready. Now I do have every graphic for the pre-show except for one match. So just a FYI. But anyway, let me move these over. And then we'll get started. Okay, so for this pre-show 0 hour, they had 4 matches. 4 matches for the 0 hour. First up, they had a tag match where they had the Outrunners, that's Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum, taking on the Premier Athletes, that's Ariya Daivari and Tony Nese. Now, of course, the Premier Athletes had Story Denali and Smart Mark Sterling in their corner. Match lasted 9 minutes, 13 seconds. Had a decent amount of time for it being the first 0 hour match. But yeah, had a decent amount of time. Overall, it was back and forth for the most part, but it was clear that the crowd was on the side of the Outrunners. I mean, the Outrunners have been a pretty solid tag team. And for the most part, pretty solid match. And once it got down towards the end, stayed in control and was able to put away Daivari with a total recall. So they hit the total recall on Ariya Daivari. Truth Magnum pins him for the 1, 2, 3. And the Outrunners are your winners in the opening match of the pre-show. And I definitely think this is a team that's going to continue to stay in the picture when it comes to, potential tag team championship contention. But definitely the Outrunners are very much over, especially in ROH. So they're going to be around in that title picture for sure. But good win for the Outrunners. Not surprised there. Okay. Let's go to our next match, which I do have a graphic for. Alright, check this one out. Alrighty. We had a singles match between Leila Grey and the debuting Zayda Steel. Familiar name, eh? That's right. The same Zayda Steel that once was part of WWE ID, that was also once competed in Marigold. That's right. So, yeah, making her ROH debut on the 0 hour Final Battle. Decent match, although I wish it could have been a little bit longer. It was only 6 minutes, 33 seconds. But it was good to see her showcased. And not just like on a regular episode of ROH, but actually on the pre-show of, a PLE. But overall, not bad. Not bad. I just wish the match could have had more time. Wish it could have had more time. But Leila Grey picked up the victory, hitting the Angel's Wings. Special callback to Christopher Daniels. Hit the Angel's Wings. Pin Zayda for the 1, 2, 3. Leila Grey, your winner. And a good sign of sportsmanship after the match between Leila Grey and Zayda Steel. And I'm just hoping to see more Zayda Steel in the future get showcased. Definitely like her. I got a chance to see her live when I was in Vegas earlier this year as part of the WWE ID tournament. So, thought that was really cool. But, hopefully she will do well in Ring of Honor. Alrighty. Let's go to our next match. Alrighty, we had a singles match between Ace Austin and Big Shotty Lee Johnson. This was a good, solid back and forth match. I like both of these guys. Match lasted 9 minutes, 33 seconds. So, decent amount of time for it being a pre-show match. But, definitely went back and forth. A good amount of high flying, trading offense between both. I mean, both wrestlers are very, very much athletic, very agile. Really could have gone either way. But, Ace Austin was able to pick up the victory, hitting the fold on Lee Johnson and then pinning him for the 1-2-3. Ace Austin with a big victory there. And like I said, definitely like both guys. Of course, Ace Austin was one half of the ABC, which, by the way, I got a chance to meet Chris Bay while I was at WrestleCade, which, like I said, continuing to pray for his recovery. I'm standing and believing in the name of Jesus that he will make a full recovery and will get back in the ring. But congrats to Ace Austin on the win. Good match. Good. Okay, and then the final match of the 0 hour pre-show came down to this tag match. We had the Death Riders of Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta taking on the Grizzled Young Veterans of James Drake and Zack Gibson, with special guest commentator, the Death Riders leader himself, Jon Moxley. Good evening, Blood Money. Welcome to the stream. So this match closed out the 0 hour. Lasted about 10 minutes, 8 seconds. Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia pairing up to take on a pretty solid team in the Grizzled Young Veterans. I'm not a crazy fan of the Grizzled Young Veterans, but they are a solid tag team. So definitely was a good challenge for Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia. Definitely seemed like the crowd was on the side of the Grizzled Young Veterans, which typically they are a heel team, but every now and then, they'll be a face team. Once in a blue moon. And of course, Jon Moxley was getting hyped on commentary like he usually does. I will say, when he's on commentary, he's pretty funny when he's on commentary. But I like how, he gets involved in the conversations and whatnot, gets very detailed. So I actually like Moxley's commentary. I mean, he'll cheer on his team, but I do like his commentary. It's pretty funny. But pretty decent back and forth match between two strong teams. But it would be Daniel Garcia pinning Zack Gibson after Wheeler Yuta hit him with the Busaiku knee kick. Shout out to the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. But also Kenta, because you remember Kenta uses that as well. Shout out to the both of them. Wheeler Yuta hits that. Garcia makes the pin. 1, 2, 3. The Death Riders are your winners to close out the 0 hour of Final Battle 2025. Overall, decent pre-show. Decent pre-show. I'm not going to say it was bad. Not going to say it was excellent, but it was a pretty decent pre-show overall. And, typically, a lot of these matches are put together last minute. Whether it's a day before or within the same day or a couple of hours before, they're usually last minute. So, but not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. And then we got our main card. And the main card started off with a bang, for sure. So, let's get started with the main card of Final Battle. First up, Ryan Armstrong. Thank you for the sub. All right, the main card started off with the tournament finals to crown the inaugural ROH Women's Pure Champion. It came down to the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo and Space Jesus Billie Starkz. Very enjoyable match. Like I said, I like both of these ladies. I've met both of these ladies, so definitely a very strong advocate for both. Match lasted 13 minutes 51 seconds, so almost 14 minutes. But it definitely seemed like Deonna Purrazzo had the advantage throughout the match, considering I feel like this type of match really fits Deonna Purrazzo more so than Billie Starkz. I understand they've had all sorts of wrestlers wrestle in this type of match, but when you really think about it, I feel like it complements more of the technical wrestlers than the others, the other different styles. You know what I mean? But that's just me. That's just me. I mean, that's just me. But the way it went about, in quick fashion, Billie had to use her first rope break, as it did not take long for Deonna to lock in that Fujiwara armbar. As a matter of fact, Billie used her first 2 rope breaks, while Deonna still had her 3. But it did get to a point where Deonna did have to use 1 rope break. And then Billie used her final rope break later on in the match. And once that was said and done, Deonna had the advantage. And even though Billie was able to use her rope breaks and escape most of those submissions, when it came down to afterwards, when she had no rope breaks left, she ended up getting trapped in the middle of the ring with not just the Fujiwara armbar, but Deonna Purrazzo switched it up into the Venus de Milo, that painful looking double armbar submission, to the point where Billie just couldn't get anywhere because she was trapped in the middle of the ring and had no choice but to verbally submit. And therefore, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo is your inaugural ROH Women's Pure Champion. And honestly, I was very hopeful it was going to end up being either her or Serena Deeb. So honestly, excellent pick for the first champion. And I'm thankful too, because you got to remember, Billie Starkz was already the inaugural ROH Women's World Television Champion. I wouldn't have been too happy if she was also the first Women's Pure Champion. But like I said, this was a good call. And like I said, to be honest, this was really Deonna's match to win. And even throughout the match, she was in control for at least a good 65-70% of the match when you really think about it. But the Virtuosa does it. Afterwards, Queen Aminata comes out. They shake hands. Queen Aminata says, "I got next." So hopefully that means Queen Aminata will be cleared very soon. Unfortunately, she had to withdraw from the tournament. She was supposed to face Deonna Purrazzo in the semifinals, but was not medically cleared and had to withdraw. So hopefully we will get that match between Deonna and Queen Aminata, title on the line. Hey, that's probably going to be Deonna's first title defense against Queen Aminata. I'd be cool with that. So, but yeah, congratulations to Deonna Purrazzo becoming the inaugural Women's Pure Champion. Awesome decision. Awesome pick for her. Okay. Now it's getting ready to turn up a notch with this next match. This was the 30-minute Iron Man match between the ROH Pure Champion Lee Moriarty, Tiger Style, and Nigel McGuinness. First off, I thought it was pretty cool that Nigel McGuinness came to the ring wearing the original ROH Pure Championship, which, you know, he was a former champion. I thought that was pretty cool. And Shane Taylor was pretty much in the corner of Lee Moriarty. But, like I said, these two, this is a very familiar matchup, considering these two faced each other in the last Final Battle. Definitely picked up from where they left off in a big way. Overall, the match lasted 31 minutes, 59 seconds, so about 32 minutes long. And I tell you, they put on an instant classic, just like they did the first time. These two know each other very well, and it is just a prime example of the old guard versus the new guard. And they made it count. They made it count in such a big way. Because like I said, Lee Moriarty already is the, even though this wasn't a title match, he's already the longest reigning pure champion. And definitely has not shown any signs of slowing down. Now, with this match, there was a lot that happened. So, I'll tell you this, the final score was 5-4. It was 5-4. Starting out, Lee Moriarty got the first two falls. It was a submission with the Border City stretch, and then a small package roll-up. So at that point, it's 2-0. Then Nigel eventually got on the board with a submission fall on Lee Moriarty with the London Dungeon. And then Lee got himself another roll-up pin. So it's 3-1. And then Nigel gets a roll-up pin. So it's 3-2. And then Nigel pretty much got the next two roll-ups, including one of them with tights, with a handful of tights. And then at the very last second, which honestly, looking back at the clock, I still don't see how they counted this. I really don't see how they counted this, but apparently Lee Moriarty was able to pin Nigel just at the very last tenth of a second, which honestly, I thought the clock hit 0 before the ref's hand hit 3. Maybe y'all saw that or saw something different, but I could have sworn I saw the ref's hand, or I could have sworn I saw the clock hit 0 before the ref's hand hit the mat for a third time. So, I honestly thought that that Nigel won, but apparently they counted it, and Lee got it in time. Lee got the pin in time. So with that being said, it went to sudden death, which means, the final fall wins. Went back and forth for a bit. They traded some pinfall attempts, but then Lee Moriarty was able to lock in a European clutch pin for the 1-2-3, pin Nigel McGuinness, and Lee Moriarty is your winner of this 30-minute Iron Man match. So he won 5-4, and also there was a little bit of interference on that second to last pinfall with Shane Taylor with the knockout punch to Nigel on the outside. But Lee Moriarty wins in sudden death. Good sign of sportsmanship afterwards, as Nigel handed him his pure championship. So now Lee had both pure championship belts. So what a great sign of respect and sportsmanship, being that wasn't even a pure championship title match. So that was really cool. And it seemed like Shane Taylor wanted to lay out Nigel, but Lee was like, nah, I got this. No, leave it be. So, good sign of respect there. But Lee Moriarty with the victory over Nigel McGuinness, 5-4. Phenomenal match. Definitely went down to sudden death. had tons of time, and just seeing these two trade holds and strikes and pins and submissions, like, definitely was an instant classic. So, good stuff. And only the second match of the main card, man, that was another way to build up momentum. Oh, but it gets crazier. It gets crazier. So, let's go to our next match. Oh, let me take a sip of water. Okay. So for our next match, we have the ROH Women's World Television Championship. This is a rematch. As the champion, Mercedes Mone defends against former champion Red Velvet. Now, their previous match was really good. I felt like it started off a little bit sluggish, but it definitely picked up and finished off really, really strong. This match lasted 13 minutes, 44 seconds, and I have to say, Red Velvet definitely brought her A game, and really this was shades of the previous match. I mean, both ladies went at it, traded offense, a lot of resiliency from both. But I have to say, this was definitely the biggest shocker of the entire show. Believe it or not, Red Velvet, as she was trapped in the statement maker, was able to kick her feet off of the rope and transition into a jackknife pin and pinned Mercedes 1, 2, 3. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Pinned Mercedes clean. Clean. And Red Velvet is now a 2-time ROH World Television Champion. Wow. 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 And thus, it seems like the downfall of Mercedes Mone has begun, as she has now gone from 13 belts to 12. And she did not take that loss very, very well. Although afterwards she did eventually defend the TBS title successfully against Leila Gray, but still, what a way for Red Velvet to bounce back and get back her title in the rematch. Did not expect that at all. To be honest, did not expect that at all. Blood Money says, the moment Mercedes Mone lost the ROH Women's Championship, well, Women's Television Championship, she started to lose her. Yeah. It's definitely showing. And I think this is just the beginning of it. I think little by little, she's going to start losing those titles. And I mean, when you think about it, a lot of this stems from the fact that she won a lot of these titles, but yet couldn't win the big one, the AEW Women's World Championship. You know, she's had two tries. She's had two tries. So, but now that she lost the TV title, I think this is just the beginning. I think little by little, the downfall is going to continue. So, how long will it take for it to fully complete that? No idea. But it has begun. But hey, congratulations to Miss Stir It Up on winning back the ROH Women's World Television Championship and being a 2-time champ. Good stuff, good stuff. Alrighty. Let's go to the next championship match. Here we go. Alrighty. We had the ROH World Tag Team Championships on the line, as the team of LFI, that's La Facción Ingobernable, that's Sammy Guevara and the Beast Mortos, taking on the team of Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. I gotta keep it real with y'all. I'm not really a fan of this combo of Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. I don't know. I'm not feeling that combo. I mean, I guess they made it work, but I'm not feeling that combo. But match lasted 13 minutes, 11 seconds. I know Sammy did a lot of showboating during this match, which, I mean, that's just like him. But to be honest, I mean, I do like Tommy Billington. I think he has a bright future. And I mean, Adam Priest wrestled a lot in DPW, was former DPW World Champion. Not a crazy fan of him, but it's cool to see that he's, being utilized. But overall, it was no surprise who ended up winning this match. The Beast Mortos got the pin on Tommy Billington after hitting a beautifully executed Sky Twister press. Got the 3 count, and the ROH World Tag Team Championships are back in the hands of LFI, courtesy of Sammy Guevara and the Beast Mortos. Of course, it was originally Sammy Guevara and Roosh, but Roosh had to vacate due to injury. My thing is, I guess the Freebird rule ain't a thing anymore. Guess nobody wants to do the Freebird thing. But I guess no more Freebird rule. Okay, let's go to the next match. Here we go. Next match. You had a singles match between Eddie Kingston and Josh the Goods Woods. Now, I don't know about y'all, but this was kind of a weird position to put this match in. I honestly would have thought this match would have happened much earlier. Maybe the first or second match, but yeah. It's kind of weird. Match lasted 9 minutes, 45 seconds. I mean, there wasn't really anything special that happened in this match. I mean, it was just straight up one-on-one. They both went at it. Yeah, I mean, I really can't say anything special about this match. I mean, it just seemed like a straightforward one-on-one match. Eddie Kingston shouted out Samoa Joe before hitting a nasty spiked DDT on Josh Woods, and then pinned him for the 1-2-3. Eddie Kingston with the victory, and of course, this is just in preparation of Winter is Coming on Wednesday, where he will get his shot at the AEW World Championship against Samoa Joe. But hey, good victory. I don't really have any complaints. I just thought it was weird that match happened at that particular slot in the on the card. Alrighty, let's go to the next match. Here we go. Alright, next match, we had the ROH World 6-Man Tag Team Championships on the line. You had the champs, Shane Taylor Promotions. That's Shane Taylor, Carly Bravo, Sean Dean. And they took on the team of Skyflight. That's Scorpio Sky and Darius and Dante Martin. A very action-packed match. Pretty enjoyable. Lasted 11 minutes, 28 seconds. Could have been a little longer, but at least it was a very action-packed match. Trish Adora and Anthony Ogogo were in the corner of STP, while Christopher Daniels and Leila Gray were in the corners of Skyflight. But it was a very action-packed match. But of course, you know, came down to some shenanigans as Sean Dean got the roll-up pin with a handful of tights. A big old handful of tights on Darius Martin to get the 3 count. STP still your champs. Honestly, I'm really bummed because I really like Top Flight, and I really feel like they should have had a tag title reign by now. I really do. Like, I would rather see them compete for the ROH World Tag Team Championships. I think they're long overdue. I know there was a time where they were kind of riddled with injuries and whatnot, but, I mean, they're way past that now. They're way past that now, and I think they're long overdue for a tag title reign. So, I haven't completely given up hope, but, you know, the clock is ticking. That's all I can really say is the clock is ticking. Oh, well. Let's see. Let's go to this next match. Oh yeah, ROH makes history with this next match. For the very first time, an AEW championship gets defended on ROH soil. As the AEW National Championship was on the line, the champion, Ricochet, defending against Dalton Castle. Good match. I feel like it's been a while since I've really seen Dalton Castle wrestle. I like Dalton Castle. Dude's a beast in the ring. Match lasted 14 minutes, 57 seconds, so almost just about 15 minutes. But it was good. Dalton Castle was good seeing him, and of course the boys were out there, you know. Not the original boys, but you know, the Peacock boys. But pretty enjoyable match overall. It took one of the boys getting taken out, Dalton Castle checking in on the boy, gave enough of a distraction for Ricochet to catch Dalton Castle off at the pass as he got back in the ring, hit him with a spirit gun, then pinned him for the 1-2-3. Ricochet still your AEW National Champion. Dalton Castle had a moment after hitting him with the bangarang, but Ricochet rolled out. So that's how that went down. That was Ricochet's first defense of said title. But yeah, not surprised at the outcome. But Dalton Castle put up a great fight. But Ricochet still your AEW National Champion. Okay. Let's go to our next match. This was another big one. Okay, we had the Survival of the Fittest match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. As the champion, Bandito defended against Sammy Guevara, Commander, Hechicero, Blake Christian, and the Beast Mortos. So yeah, Sammy Guevara and the Beast Mortos pulling double duty for this show. Solid match from start to finish. Lasted about 28 minutes. But yeah, this was a solid match. And I have to say, the order of eliminations was actually quite interesting. But match had a lot of high flying, a lot of continuous action. It kept me on my feet the whole time. Order of eliminations. So, Commander got the first elimination, pinning Sammy Guevara, after hitting a beautifully executed springboard shooting star press running the ropes. So Sammy Guevara, the first eliminated. I did not expect that. And then Hechicero hit a head scissors driver on the Beast Mortos and then pinned him for the 1-2-3. So dang, both members of LFI eliminated one after the other. And then Blake Christian hits a lethal injection on Commander and then pins him for the 1-2-3. So Commander eliminated. And then Bandito was able to get a sunset flip pin on Blake Christian and then pinned him for the 1-2-3. So it all came down to Bandito and Hechicero, which we've seen those two go at it before for this title, one-on-one. So I guess when you think about it, it's not that crazy of a surprise that those are the remaining two. And they went at it. And it seemed like Hechicero was going to get the best of Bandito. But Bandito was able to reverse into a small package and was able to pin Hechicero for the 1-2-3. And showing great fighting spirit and resilience, Bandito is still your ROH World Champion. And I have to say, I've met Bandito before, a couple of years ago. Very humble guy. Very nice, humble guy. But I have to say, Bandito is definitely making an argument as one of the best wrestlers in the world. Not only that, being able to combine, power, agility, high flying, strong style. I mean, Bandito is one of a kind. And he continues to showcase all of what he can do, especially in these high profile matches. Yes, I understand him and Brody King lost the AEW tag titles, but still Bandito as a singles wrestler is like God tier. And honestly, there's no telling who's going to dethrone Bandito for that title. There's no telling. But Bandito's that dude. Let me just say that. Bandito is that dude. And then the main event of Final Battle 2025 came down to the ladies. We had the ROH Women's World Championship in the main event, as Athena defended the title against Persephone. Another enjoyable match, indeed. Ryan Armstrong, welcome to the stream. Bandito worked with WWE without a mess. Really? Do you remember what name he was, or was he in the background, or was he any particular name? I honestly wouldn't know. I've never seen him without a mask on, but that's interesting. That is very interesting. Athena Persephone lasted 27 minutes 19 seconds. More and more, I'm definitely starting to like Persephone. And I even did get to see her. I got a chance to see her when she was in Japan as well, because she wrestled at Wrestle Dynasty earlier this year, which was the day after Wrestle Kingdom 19. But definitely Persephone is really starting to wear on me. She's starting to wear on me. Also, shout out to Athena rocking Demon Slayer gear, and so was Diamante. She was rocking Demon Slayer gear. But this was a great back and forth match. Persephone definitely shows that she can fly. She's got the agility. She's got the strength. Definitely went back and forth between these two ladies. And just... who can stop her? Who can stop her? Who is going to stop Athena? Have no idea. But Athena puts Persephone away with an O-face and then pins her for the 1, 2, 3. Athena, the forever champion, the American Joshi, still your ROH Women's World Champion. Not only that, but Athena has now been ROH Women's World Champion for 1,094 days. Insane. Not only that, that is now 33 successful defenses. Folks can say what they want badly about ROH, like the product or whatnot, but Athena is a true workhorse and has really carried that title well. Very, very well. I mean, 33 defenses, 1,094 days, workhorse. No doubt about it. Like I said, my main question is, who the heck is going to beat her? Who's going to dethrone her? I mean, look at everybody. Look at everybody that she's defeated. Vert Vixen, Kiera Hogan, Marina Shafir, Miyu Yamashita, Willow Nightingale, Emi Sakura, Yuka Sakazaki, Miyu Yamashita again. Sky Blue, Kiera Hogan again. Kiera Hogan a third time. Willow Nightingale a second time. Diamante, Allison Kay, Angelina Love, Leila Hirsch, Mercedes Martinez, who she originally beat to win the title in the first place. Billie Starkz, Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Red Velvet, Queen Aminata, Giselle Shaw, Abaddon, Billie Starkz a second time, Tekla, Alex Windsor, La Catalina, Thunder Rosa, Alex Windsor a second time, Mina Shirakawa, Harley Cameron, and Persephone. 33 defenses. It's crazy. But that's Athena for you. There's no telling who's going to beat her. I have no idea who's going to beat her. No idea. But she closes out Final Battle with a successful defense. It's crazy because she won the title at Final Battle 2022. So she won the title Final Battle 2022, retained it in Final Battle 2023, retained it in Final Battle 2024, and now just retained it in Final Battle 2025. That's crazy. That's crazy. So at least 3 years. 3 years. That's crazy. But, like I said, there's no telling who's going to beat her. There's no telling whatsoever who's going to beat her. But overall, Final Battle was a good show. It was a good show. And that's the thing. ROH has been delivering good PLEs. They've been delivering good PLEs. That's one thing I will say. I know a lot of people may look down on, their Honor Club weeklies, but their PLEs have been good. They've been solid. So, I think all ROH just needs is once they get that TV deal, I think they'll be fine. As soon as they get that TV deal. Blood Money says, I don't know when Athena's going to drop the ROH Women's Championship. Shoot. I don't think anybody knows. It's crazy. It's crazy. But overall, good show with Final Battle 2025. Alrighty. Let's switch gears to NXT Deadline 2025. NXT Deadline 2025 took place yesterday, December 6th, at the Boeing Center at Techport in San Antonio, Texas. 5 matches. 5 matches total for this. Let me get my graphics out. Ryan Armstrong says, Bandito had tryouts and received offers from WWE, which he turned down for ROH AEW, and expressed interest in joining them later in his career, preferring AEW ROH for family reasons at the time. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, I remember. So, when I met Bandito, it was a couple of years ago, but I got a chance to congratulate Bandito on getting signed to AEW. So, yeah, that's interesting. So, he actually had offers, but went with AEW ROH. Okay. And I mean, I definitely liked Bandito ever since I first saw him back in ROH, going all the way back to Lifeblood. You remember Lifeblood? But yeah, I was definitely big on Bandito. And, like I said, very humble guy. Very humble guy. So glad I got a chance to meet him. And he was also at this year's WrestleCade, but, there were some other folks I wanted to meet. I had met him already. But, Bandito, really phenomenal wrestler. And like I said, he's only 30 years old, so still has good number of years left in his career. Thankfully he was able to overcome the recent injuries and come back strong. And like I said, ROH World Champion, and he's been a phenomenal champion. So I think it's only going to continue to go up for Bandito. And yeah, like I said, the dude is awesome. The dude is awesome. And shout out to his brother, Gravity. Would like to see him and Gravity do some stuff. Maybe, have them team up sometime here and there. I know Brodito was a great tag team, but, it would be cool to see Bandito and Gravity team up a little bit going forward. But it's all good. It's all good. Okay, so NXT Deadline 2025. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. And they actually started this show off with a bang, because they started off with the NXT Championship. As the champion, Ricky Saints defended against the ruler, Obafemi. I will say that I definitely felt like this match was better than their previous match. Lasted 17 minutes, 22 seconds. But I felt like this was much more enjoyable than their previous match. A lot of resilience shown from Ricky Saints. Especially, after kicking out of one fall from grace. It would have been nice to see him hit Oba with the Rochambeau. Because if you remember, in the match where he won the title, he didn't hit the Rochambeau. He just hit a tornado DDT. Springboard tornado DDT. Which he did use in this match, but of course, Oba kicked out. But had the dude up for the Rochambeau, I was like, oh, snap. But Didn't hit it. He slipped out the back, hit the fall from grace, but he kicked out. But overall, this was a pretty intense back and forth match. And like I said, Ricky Saints, he looked good. Obafemi looked good. But when it was all said and done, it would take a second fall from grace from Obafemi that would put away Ricky Saints. 1, 2, 3. And just like that, Obafemi wins back the NXT Championship. And Obafemi is now a 2-time NXT champion. And with that being said and done, he will have a match against Cody Rhodes on SmackDown. Great sign of sportsmanship after the match. My thing is this. I really feel like, okay, what was really the... Okay, I'll say this, because I'll elaborate more later. I'll elaborate more later. Blood Money says, Ricky Saints lost the belt. I was shocked. Oh, they're doing it on Saturday Night Main Event. Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, so they're having the match on Saturday Night Main Event. Gotcha. Okay. But yeah, honestly, my whole thing was like, what was really the point of this, considering Oba really didn't need this title again? I felt like he's long due to get moved up to the main roster. But after a match later, I think I kind of understand what they may do. So I'll get to that in a second. So hold that thought. There's a reason for this. Hold that thought. Okay. Now let's go to our next match. Our first of 2 Iron Survivor challenges. Alrighty. We had the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. It was Jordynne Grace versus Sol Ruca versus Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan versus Evolve Women's Champion Kendall Gray. So for this match, I mean, it's that time again, Iron Survivor Challenge. Of course, both matches have a 25-minute time limit. Of course, it goes all the way to 25 minutes. And of course, the deal is if there's a tie across the board, they do sudden death. The order of appearance. So, Kalani Jordan and Kendall Gray started off this match. And then the order of appearance was then Jordynne Grace, then Lola Vice, and then Sol Ruca was the last to appear. The interesting thing is, when Sol Ruca appeared, Kalani Jordan tried to take her out after she had eaten a pin, and medical staff took Sol Ruca to the back, but she eventually came back out, knee brace and all, and continued the match. So, definitely the ladies put on quite an excellent show. And these were picked by John Cena. And like I said, this was a very enjoyable match. The ladies really put on an excellent match. Okay, let's see how this went down. So Kendall Gray got the first point, pinning Kalani Jordan after a power slam. And then Kalani pinned Kendall Gray, so she got her lick back, pinned her with a roll-up. And then Lola Vice got a pin on Kendall Gray after hitting her with a spinning back fist. And then Kendall Gray gets her second, pinning up Jordynne Grace with a roll-up. Then Jordynne Grace gets on the board with a roll-up reversal pin on Kalani Jordan. And then Sol Ruca hits double soul snatchers on both Lola Vice and Kalani Jordan and pins both of them one after the other. to get a quick 2 points. And then Kendall Gray pinned Jordynne Grace after hitting a frog splash. Or I'm sorry, Kalani pinned Jordynne Grace after hitting a frog splash. Then Jordynne Grace pins Kalani Jordan after a torture rack bomb. Then Lola Vice pins Kendall Gray after hitting a jumping roundhouse kick. And then, at the very last moment, Kendall Gray was able to hit Lola Vice with an avalanche shades of gray, pinned her for the 1-2-3, and with 3 falls, Kendall Gray seals it and is your Iron Survivor for the women. Wow. Evolve Women's Champion Kendall Gray. Not who I expected to win, to be honest with y'all. Ryan Armstrong says, nice to have seen Sol Ruco on SmackDown last Friday. That is true. That is true. And that's another one I think is long due for success on the main roster. But yeah, Kendall Gray earns herself a shot at the NXT Women's Championship, JC Jane, which they have confirmed will happen at New Year's Evil, which I believe they advertised a date for New Year's Evil. Actually, let me see what that date is right quick. I thought they posted it. Actually, no. Let me go to the website. Let me go to the website. Okay, so yeah, New Year's Evil. Here, let me see. Dang, it doesn't show. I was trying to look up a date. I thought they had a date for that. Okay, I'm not seeing it. Blood Money says, Kendall Gray wins the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge. Winning the Iron Survivor Challenge was not expected. By the way, does Kendall Gray need to win the NXT Women's Championship from JC Jane on New Year's Evil? Which is on January 6th. Okay, thank you. January 6th. I don't think she'll win it. I think JC retains. I do like what I've seen from Kendall Gray. But no, I do not think, I don't think JC Jane loses to Kendall Gray. January 6th. Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it. But yeah, very surprised to see Kendall Gray as the Iron Survivor. All right. Let's move on to the next match. All right, we have the NXT North American Championship on the line as the champion, All Ego Ethan Page, defended against Mr. Iguana. Overall match was pretty good. Lasted 8 minutes, 40 seconds. Could have been longer, but I know a lot of the card's going to, take up a lot of time with the 2 Iron Survivor matches, so I can understand why this match wasn't 10 minutes or longer. But I felt like it was alright for what it was. It was good to see Mr. Iguana do his thing, a lot of high-flying action. Definitely kept the champion on his toes. But when it was all said and done, it took one twisted grin from Ethan Page to put away Mr. Iguana for the 1-2-3. Ethan Page, still your NXT North American Champion. no surprise there. No surprise there. But like I said, always good to see Mr. Iguana. Like I said, got a chance to see him while I was in Japan at the Great Show. But, yeah. Pretty straightforward victory for Ethan Page. Now, let's go to the next match. Alright, we had a singles match between Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. This was another one that I was actually very surprised that they put this match as the semi main event. I was very surprised that they used this match as the semi main event. I honestly would have thought this would have been like the first match, but they went with the NXT Championship match. So I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Match lasted 12 minutes 40 seconds, and I know Nico Vance and Sean Spears of the Culling were in the corner of Izzy Dame. They did their best to try to manipulate her. And, just get her all confused and just mind all over the place and during different parts of this match. Also, a very sick, very, very sick tequila shot on the announce table. Yes, I did call it the tequila shot because we all know where it came from. Let's keep it real. But yeah, that was quite a bump. But, in all honesty, not surprised at the outcome. I know it seemed like Sean Spears was really getting to Tatum Paxley, but once she ripped the head off the Burnett doll, or the jet black-haired doll that's supposed to resemble Tatum, that was pretty much all that was necessary. Izzy Dame took advantage, hit her with a Dame over, pinned her for the 1-2-3. Izzy Dame, your winner. And the Culling continues to make trouble for Tatum Paxley. Yeah, it's quite a bummer. Izzy Dame versus Tatum Paxley feud needs to continue on. Oh, it will. I think it definitely will. I don't think they're done. I don't think they're done. I agree. I don't think they're done. Okay, and then the main event of NXT Deadline 2025 came down to the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge. Your competitors, Joe Hendry, Miles Bourne, Leon Slater, Javon Evans, and Dion Lennox. Quite interesting. Leon Slater, the only non-NXT, non-WWE superstar actually in this match. It's kind of weird, isn't it? But solid match. Although I'll give the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge just a little bit more love, but not that much. Not that much. Both matches were awesome. Starting off was no surprise. Leon Slater and Javon Evans, they started this match off. Order of appearance. So after those two, you had Miles Bourne, then you had Dion Lennox, and then finally Joe Hendry. Very action-packed match. A lot of high flying for obvious reasons. I mean, shoot. Definitely made it count. Made it very entertaining. Okay. Weren't as many pinfalls in this one as the ladies, but still came down to the wire for sure. Javon got the first pin on Leon Slater. Nice little Frankensteiner pin. Then Dion Lennox got a pin on Javon Evans after hitting a Polish shift. And then Joe Hendry hit a nice little fireman's carry slam on Miles Bourne to get a point. Then Leon Slater with a beautifully executed Swanton 450 onto Joe Hendry gets himself a point. And then Miles Bourne hits a Born Again on Dion Lennox to get himself a point. So everybody has at least a point. Everybody has a point, and it just really carried on. It really carried on to the last moment, the very last moment, where Javon Evans was able to sneak in a small package pin on Miles Bourne to secure the victory, and 2-1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Javon Evans is your Iron Survivor for the men. So congratulations. He came up short last year. If y'all remember, he came up short last year because he ran out of time. But was able to make things right this time around and is your 2025 Iron Survivor. Obafemi came out, but then lights went out, and Tony D'Angelo appeared in the ring and took out Javon Evans, hit him with the bada bing, bada boom. Tony D'Angelo is back and kind of had a stare down with Obafemi. Of course, you know, him and Obafemi have history, so that could pick up. And Blood Money, you read my mind. You read my mind. So back to my original point. I think this could indeed be where Obafemi is the transitional champion and Javon Evans opens up the new year, dethroning Obafemi at New Year's Evil to become NXT champion. You read my mind, Blood Money. I think that's what they're setting up. I think that's what they're setting up. Because let's be real, Obafemi doesn't need a second reign. Especially nowhere as long as his first one was. He's had an incredible reign with both NXT North American Championship and the NXT Championship. So in all honesty, he really doesn't need that belt for any longer than necessary. So I definitely could see him dropping the belt to Javon Evans at New Year's Evil. Here's hoping. Tony D'Angelo returned without the Italian Mafia boss gimmick. Well, I mean, when you think about it, the family's pretty much dissolved. I mean, after the whole betrayal from Starkz and, you know, Rizzo being off camera due to injury, I mean, the whole family is pretty much dissolved. No more Luca Crucifino. Like, that whole family dissolved. So, I'm not surprised that he's not the, you know, rocking that gimmick anymore. So, it makes sense. But overall, Deadline was a good show. Deadline was a good show. So, hey, a good weekend packed with some good pro wrestling. Shout out to ROH and WWE NXT. Good shows. Good shows. Definitely enjoyed them both. Okay. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into some pro wrestling tournament talk. So, gonna go ahead and let's do the AEW Continental Classic first, because I really want to get into the World Tag League a little later, because got some scenarios with that. Okay. So let's take a look at the current standings of the AEW Continental Classic so far. Alright, we're going to start with the Blue League first. Okay, with the Blue League. So far, sitting at the bottom, we got one team, or not one team, one competitor. One competitor, 0 points on an 0-2 record. and that's Roderick Strong. Losses to Konosuke Takeshita and Orange Cassidy. Oof. Oof. Oh, he's got 3 matches left. He better get on the ball. Better start winning. Better start winning. So, yeah. Rough start for Roderick Strong. Ryan Armstrong says, I am still wondering when Slater and Evans would face Dark State for the tag titles after Dark State cost them the TNA X Division match at Bound for Glory, ending in a no contest. Yeah, I do remember that. It was quite a bummer too, considering that was such a great match. And that was such a great match. And you know, I really hope they do run that back. But yes, I would agree that it would be good to see those two team up and go for the tag titles. I would not be against that idea. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, snap. Wait a minute. I totally forgot. That already happened. What am I talking about? That already happened. Remember Gold Rush? You remember Gold Rush? It was night 1. It was night 1 of Gold Rush that happened already, Ryan. Now, I just remembered. Yeah, that happened already at Gold Rush. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind them running it back, but they did have that match already. So, okay. Anyway, let's see. I'm sorry. Let me go back to this. Okay. So Roderick Strong 0-2, 0 points. We got one competitor that has a 1-2 record, 3 points. That's Jon Moxley. A victory over Mascara Dorada, but then he's lost 2 straight to Claudio Castagnoli and Konosuke Takeshita. So he's got 2 matches left, and it's not looking too good for Jon Moxley, dropping 2 in a row. He better get it together. Mascara Dorada is 1-1. 3 points, a victory over Claudio Castagnoli, but a loss to Jon Moxley. So he's got 3 matches left. Ryan says Obafemi versus Cody Rhodes Saturday night's main event is going to be best for business. That is true. I look forward to it. Should be good. TNA did have their Final Resolution pay-per-view on Friday. Yeah, I totally forgot about that show. It wasn't until I started seeing updates and highlights. I was just like, oh, dang, they actually had a show. So, yeah, I totally did not know that. But then again, you know, I was also in Charlotte at the time. So, that was the only thing. Let's see. We have another competitor, 1-1, 3 points, and that's Orange Cassidy. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. A victory over Roderick Strong, but a loss to Claudio Castagnoli. All right. We have one competitor that has a 2-1 record, 6 points, and that is Claudio Castagnoli. 2 victories over Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy, and a loss to Mascara Dorada, which was recent. And then, right now, the only one that's undefeated, 2-0, 6 points, is IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Konosuke Takeshita. 2 victories over Roderick Strong and Jon Moxley. So, still Still plenty of tournament left, but, you know, some of those that are struggling, like Roderick Strong and John Moxley, they got to start winning. They got to get on the ball. It's not going to be easy, but they got to get started on that. But that's the Blue League. Let's go to the Gold League. Okay, Gold League. So, first off, so I'm going to take care of the first piece of business. So, Darby Allin. Darby Allin, 0-1, is the one loss to Kevin Knight. But, unfortunately, Darby Allin is unable to continue with this tournament due to injury and has withdrawn from the tournament. But he does have a replacement. And the replacement is in the form of Jack Perry. That's right. Jack Perry has taken Darby Allin's place in the Continental Classic. So, just wanted to let everybody know that. That is the replacement competitor. So, he will continue forth. Alright. We got Speedball Mike Bailey, also 0-1, 0 points, 1 loss to Pac. Okay. And then we got 3 competitors with 3 points each. All 3 of them have 1-1 records. They are Pac, Kevin Knight, and the AEW Unified Champion himself, Kazuchika Okada. So with Pac, he's got a victory over Speedball, but a loss to Okada. And Kevin Knight has a win over, well, he got the victory over Darby Allin, but a loss to Kyle Fletcher. And then Okada, a victory over Pac, and a loss to Kyle Fletcher. And then you got the one competitor on the Gold League that is currently undefeated, 2-0. That's the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher has 2 victories over Okada and Kevin Knight. So he's standing atop the Gold League, looking strong. So he's at the top of the Gold League, Takeshita at the top of the Blue League. But like I said, there's still plenty of tournament left.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Okay, and that just happened. So yeah, still plenty of tournament left on both sides. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens now that Jack Perry replaces Darby Allin. We'll have to see what kind of a run he goes on. Because the thing is, he's got to face Pac, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kyle Fletcher, and Kazuchika Okada. So those are not going to be easy for Jack Perry. So I'm very curious to see how he will do. But I'm looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. Okay. So now, let's switch gears to the New Japan World Tag League 2025. And I have to say, it's coming down to the wire. There's only 2 days of block matches left. 1 day for Block A and 1 day for Block B. So Block A will finish up on December 8th. That's tomorrow. Block B will finish up on Tuesday, December 9th. So, let's go ahead and see how things look. And we'll go into some scenarios as well. Okay, let me get my list up. Enigma, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. All right, let's get started. All right, starting with the A block. Now, I have to tell you, the A block was really difficult as far as breaking down the scenarios. But I'm going to go over the standings and then we'll talk about scenarios for the A block. Okay. We got two teams sitting at an abysmal 1-5 record, 2 points total. And they are the teams of Taichi and Satoshi Kojima and House of Torture's Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi. Let's look at House of Torture's Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi. Their one victory was over Taichi, Satoshi Kojima, and they got 5 losses to Bishamon, Yano Oleg, Yoda Gabe Kid, War Dragons, and Evil Don Fale. Their final match will be against El Desperado Shuji Ishikawa. Alright, Satoshi Kojima and Taichi, their one victory was over Bishamon, surprisingly. But 5 losses to Yano Oleg, Despi Shuji, War Dragons, and both House of Torture teams. Their final match will be against Yoda Gabe Kid. Okay. We have two teams that are sitting at 3-3 records. 6 points each. They are Bolton Oleg and Toru Yano and El Desperado Shuji Kondo. Let's take a look at El Desperado and Shuji. Why do I keep saying Shuji Kondo? It's Shuji Ishikawa. Y'all, please forgive me. Please forgive me for that. I got a bad habit of doing that. Please forgive me. El Desperado Shuji Ishikawa. Okay, 3-3. They have victories over Bishamon, Taichi, Satoshi Kojima, and the War Dragons, but 3 losses to Yano Oleg, Yoda Gabe Kid, and Evil Don Fale. And their final match will be against Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi. Alright. Toru Yano, Bolton Oleg. Same record, 3-3. They have victories over Taichi, Satoshi Kojima, Despi, Shuji Ishikawa, and Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi. Their 3 losses were to the War Dragons, Yoda and Kid, and Bishamon. And their final match will be against Evil Don Fale. Now, this is where it gets very interesting. You have 4 teams that each have 8 points on 4-2 records. They are Bishamon, Yoda Gabe Kid, the War Dragons, and House of Torture's Evil and Don Fale. Now, this is where we're going to start digging into scenarios. Okay? First off, let's start with House of Torture's Evil and Don Fale. Alright, they are 4-2. They have victories over Taichi, Satoshi Kojima, El Desperado, Shuji Ishikawa, the War Dragons, and House of Torture's Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi. Their 2 losses were to Yoda Gabe Kid and to Bishamon. Okay. Their final match is against Toru Yano, Bolton Oleg. So this is what they got to do in order to have a chance at the semifinals. So they're going to need to defeat Toru Yano and Bolton Oleg. And then they need a miracle from Taichi and Satoshi Kojima. They need them to defeat Yoda and Gabe Kid. And they need the War Dragons to defeat Bishamon. If all that can happen, then Evil Don Fale would have a shot at the semifinals. So they got to win their match, and they need help. So they're not completely out of it. But I hope they will be out of it, because I don't like House of Torture. Anyways, so that's what they got to do. Alright, let's take a look at the War Dragons. That's Shingo Takagi, Drilla Maloney. Victories over Taichi Satoshi Kojima, Toru Yano Bolton Oleg, Yodatsuji Gabe Kid, and House of Torture's Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi. Their 2 losses were to Evil and Don Fale and El Desperado Shuji Ishikawa. Okay? Their final match is against Bishamon. Now, this is what has to happen for the War Dragons. So they will need to defeat Bishamon, and they need Toru Yano and Bolton Oleg to defeat Evil and Don Fale. As long as both of those happen, then the War Dragons should get a semifinal berth. They should make it to the semifinals. So they got to defeat Bishamon, and Toru Yano and Bolton Oleg needs to defeat Evil and Don Fale. If that happens, then the War Dragons should be good for the semifinals. Okay? Let's look at Yodatsuji Gabe Kid. Okay? Victories over Toru Yano Bolton Oleg, El Desperado Shuji Ishikawa, House of Torture, and both House of Torture teams. Okay? Their 2 losses were to the War Dragons and Bishamon. Their final match is against Taichi and Satoshi Kojima. Alright, this is what Yodatsuji Gabe Kid will have to do. And this is tricky. They need to defeat Taichi and Satoshi Kojima, but they will need a miracle, and they will need Bishamon and the War Dragons to end in a draw. That's right. They need them to end in a draw. And as long as that happens, then Yodatsuji Gabe Kid should make the semis. So they need to really hope that that Bishamon and War Dragons end in a draw. There has yet to be a draw in this tournament. Just a FYI, there has yet to be a draw. So, but it can still happen. It can still happen. That's the thing. It can still happen. And then finally, Bishamon. That's Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, which they have the easiest scenario. So, they got victories over Toru Yano, Bolton Oleg, Yodatsuji Gabe Kid, and both House of Torture teams. Their 2 losses were to El Desperado, Shuji Ishikawa, and Taichi Satoshi Kojima. Their final match is against the War Dragons. But they have the easiest scenario. All they have to do is defeat the knockout... All they have to do is defeat the War Dragons. They defeat the War Dragons, they advance to the semifinals. And the reason is being that they have the tiebreaker over both Yodatsuji Gabe Kid and Evil Don Fale, they win over the War Dragons, like, that means they would pretty much seal it. So, so that's why they have the easy scenario. Bishamon, they win and they're in. That's all they got to do is win their match. So, we'll see what happens. But if you ask me, who do I think the 2 teams that are going to advance? I definitely think the War Dragons will be one of those teams. I think the War Dragons will be one of those teams. Um, I hate to say it, but I just, I don't know. I think it's probably going to end up being House of Torture, Evil Don Fale, and the War Dragons. I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think those are probably going to be the two teams that advance. But I hope I'm wrong, because I don't want House of Torture in there. I'd be okay with either of Bishamon, Yoda Gabe Kid, or the War Dragons. Two of those three teams. But that's just me. Okay. Let's go to the B block. Okay. Here's what we got for the B block. Alright. So first off, sitting at the bottom, we got two teams, 2-4 records, 4 points. They are Hiroshi Tanahashi and El Phantasmo, and David Finlay and Hiromu Takahashi. Let's look at David Finlay and Hiromu Takahashi. 2-4 victories over Tanahashi and ELP and the Knockout Brothers, but 4 losses to Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, TMDK, House of Torture, and Monster Sauce. Their final match is against United Empire. Okay? And then Hiroshi Tanahashi, El Phantasmo, same record, victories over TMDK and Monster Sauce. 4 losses to United Empire, the Knockout Brothers, Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi. Their final match is against House of Torture. But both of those teams are mathematically eliminated. They have no chance. Okay. Now this is when we're going to start getting into scenarios. Okay? So we got 4 teams that are tied at 6 points apiece. 3-3 records. They are Monster Sauce, House of Torture, TMDK, and the IWGP Tag Team Champions, the Knockout Brothers. Okay, let's start with Monster Sauce. That's Lance Archer and Alex Zane. We'll start with them. 3-3, victories over House of Torture, the Knockout Brothers, and David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi. 3 losses to Tanahashi, ELP, Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and United Empire. Their final matches against TMDK. So, for Monster Sauce, this is what has to happen. So, Monster Sauce needs to defeat TMDK, and they need some help. They need the Knockout Brothers to defeat Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura, and they need David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi to defeat United Empire. So they need those 3 things to happen in order to have a shot at the semifinals. So that's a tough road for Monster Sauce. Okay? So defeat TMDK. The Knockout Brothers need to defeat Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and they need David Finlay and Hiromu to defeat United Empire. That's the scoop. Okay. Let's look at House of Torture. That's Ren Narita and Sonata. 3 victories over David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi, the Knockout Brothers, and TMDK. 3 losses to Monster Sauce, United Empire, and Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura. Their final match is against Hiroshi Tanahashi and ELP. Okay, this is what House of Torture has to do. They have to defeat Tanahashi and ELP, and the Knockout Brothers got to defeat Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi has to beat United Empire, and TMDK has to defeat Monster Sauce. So they need those 4 to happen in order for House of Torture to have a shot at the semifinals. So they pretty much have the hardest scenario. Yeah, they got the hardest scenario. So they have to win. Plus they need certain 3 specific teams to win their matches. So that's an insane scenario for House of Torture. It's not impossible, but it's pretty freaking slim. So, just saying. Okay. Let's take a look at TMDK. That's Zack Sabre Jr. and Ryohei Oiwa. 3 victories over Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi, and United Empire. Losses to Ace and ELP, the Knockout Brothers, and House of Torture. Their final match is against Monster Sauce. Okay. So, what TMDK has to do, they have to defeat Monster Sauce, and Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura has to defeat the Knockout Brothers, and Hiroshi Tanahashi ELP has to defeat House of Torture. If those 3 things can happen, TMDK should make it to the semis. So, pretty difficult scenario, though. Okay. And the current IWGP Tag Team Champions. The Knockout Brothers, Yuto Ice and Oscar. Alright. 3 victories over United Empire, TMDK, and Tanahashi ELP. Losses to Finlay, Hiromu, House of Torture, and Monster Sauce. Their final match is against Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura. Okay, this is what the champs have to do. They need to defeat Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and Hiroshi Tanahashi ELP needs to defeat House of Torture, and TMDK needs to defeat Monster Sauce. If all 3 of those happen, then the Knockout Brothers should make it to the semis. So, they got a 3-part scenario. So, pretty difficult. Pretty difficult. Okay. You got 2 teams with 4-2 records, 8 points each at the top. They are Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, and United Empire. Let's take a look at United Empire. That's Great-O-Khan and Caleb Newman. So their 4 victories were over Tanahashi ELP, Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, House of Torture, and Monster Sauce. And their 2 losses were to TMDK and the Knockout Brothers. Now, for United Empire, it's simple. It's simple. United Empire's final match is against David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi. Being that they already own the tiebreaker over Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, all United Empire has to do is win, and they are in. So they defeat David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi, they'll advance to the semis. Straightforward. So they got the easy scenario. They got the easiest scenario. Okay. And then let's take a look at Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura. So 4 victories over Tanahashi ELP, David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi, House of Torture, and Monster Sauce. 2 losses to United Empire and TMDK, and their final match is against the Knockout Brothers. And now that I think about it, so Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, they will need to defeat the Knockout Brothers, and they need United Empire to lose to David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi. Yeah. Because remember, United Empire has the tiebreaker. One second. I need to make a correction. 1 second. On here. Okay, there we go. Okay, I got it. But yes, Shota Umino, Yuya Uemura, they need to defeat the Knockout Brothers, and they need David Finlay, Hiromu Takahashi to defeat United Empire in order for them to have a shot at the semifinals. So, pretty much, United Empire has the easiest scenario. House of Torture has the most difficult scenario. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But anything can happen. Anything can happen. Now, who do I think the 2 teams that will make it out of the B block? I got a good feeling that one of them will be United Empire. I think one of them will be United Empire. To be honest, I'm thinking TMDK will probably be the other. I'm thinking TMDK will probably be the other. So I'm thinking United Empire, TMDK. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's been a pretty interesting tournament for the most part. But yeah, Block A will happen. We'll finish up December 8th. Block B on December 9th. So Monday and Tuesday. So quite a bit to look forward to for sure. A couple of other miscellaneous things I wanted to mention. So, just as a heads up, as a reminder, this Wednesday, AEW Winter is coming. Eddie Kingston gets his shot at the AEW World Championship, currently held by Samoa Joe. And we're going to get the finals of the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. It comes down to the Babes of Wrath and the Timeless Love Bombs. Timeless Love Bombs. So, Babes of Wrath, that's Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. Timeless Love Bombs are Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. So, that should be good. Battle of face teams right there. That should be good. Another thing I wanted to mention. So, Netflix has acquired Warner Brothers. That's pretty big. It's pretty big. So, with this acquisition, it includes film and television studios, HBO Max, and HBO, estimated to about $82.7 billion. Which is to be after a separation of Discovery Global, which is expected to happen next year. So Netflix will maintain WB's current operations and build on its strengths, including theatrical film releases, and it will offer more choice and greater value for customers and all that jazz. But the thing that's still kind of interesting is that there's no word on what's going to happen with AEW's streaming deal or streaming rights. Because if I remember correctly, they were on HBO Max, if I remember correctly. So it makes me wonder what's going to happen with that for AEW. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with that. But yeah, figured I had to mention that. The Good Brothers have landed in Pro Wrestling Noah. And apparently they're going to be competing at Noah the New Year against Jack Morris and Kaito Kiyomiya. So that's quite interesting. Not only that, let's see. One second. Oh, yeah. So also wanted to pull up another reveal. I don't know if I did this already, but just in case if I didn't, Lei Ying Lee confirmed her Grand Princess in March. So it's pretty big for her. So far that's Lei Ying Lee, Yuka Sakazaki, and Sari confirmed for Grand Princess 26. But yeah. So but that's pretty much all that I have for this live stream. Like I said, overall great weekend. And I know we got quite a bit to look forward to coming up. I mean, I know got the conclusion of the World Tag League to look forward to. AEW Winter is coming. We're going to find out who the number one contender for the Wonder of Stardom Championship will be. It's either going to be Saya Ida or Ami Sourei. But yeah, we got quite a bit to look forward to. Oh, and the finals of the World Tag League will be on December 14th. So that's next Sunday. So we got that to look forward to. But yeah, we'll see how things go. But I want to thank everybody for coming out and chatting it up with me. Always good to have y'all. And for those that catch the archive of this, let me know what y'all thought of ROH Final Battle 2025 and NXT Deadline 2025. And how do y'all feel about the current tournament so far? The AEW Continental Classic and World Tag League 2025. Fire off some predictions. What teams do you think will make the semis? And who do you think is going to make the semis of the AEW Continental Classic? And how do you feel about Jack Perry being Darby Allin's replacement? But let me know. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, all of the above. Thank y'all so much for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed tonight's live stream. For another Pro Wrestling Talk, brought to you by Blitzball Champ Gaming, my name is Jason Ingram. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their evening, and I will see y'all in the next video and our live stream. Peace.